Have you ever had to correct someone and felt your heart racing because you didn't want to be the bad guy? Or you gave grace again and later realized you trained people to keep crossing the line? Let me say it like this. If you're always soft, you'll burn out. If you're always hard, you'll break trust. But if you're fair, firm, and consistent, you can lead with both compassion and clarity. Today, we're talking about how to lead without losing your heart at work, in ministry, and in real life. Welcome back to the Called, Chosen, Credentialed, and Conversations podcast. Here, we talk about the real challenges of service, leadership, and ministry, and share faith, wisdom, and practical tools you can use every day. I'm Ebony. Today, we're building on episode 1. Identity and boundaries are our foundation, but leadership is something we practice daily. Let's dive in to episode 2. Fair, firm, and consistent. Leading without losing your heart. Here's what we'll cover in this episode. 1. What fair, firm, and consistent really means, and what it doesn't mean. 2. The biggest mistakes leaders make when trying to be nice. 3. A simple leadership framework you can use in the workplace and ministry. 4. Scripts you can use for hard conversations. And 5. A short faith anchor and a practical challenge for the week. Let's define it clearly. Fair. Fair doesn't mean treating everyone exactly the same. It means being equitable and impartial. Same standard, same expectations, same process. But it also means making space for individual situations without showing favoritism. Fair sounds like, here's the policy, here's the purpose, here's the pathway. Or, I'm going to listen, and I'm also going to be consistent with the standard. Firm. Firm means setting clear boundaries and following through on them. Not harsh, not cold, not disrespectful. Being firm means standing by what protects your mission, your team, and the people you serve. Firm sounds like, this is the expectation. This is the deadline. This is what will happen next if it doesn't change. Consistent. Consistent means people know what to expect from the process, even if they don't always like the outcome. Consistency builds trust because it cuts down on confusion and worry. Consistent sounds like, this is how we'll handle these situations every time. Or, I'm going to respond the same on Monday that I do on Friday. Now, here's what it's not. Fair is not favoritism. Firm is not mean. Consistent is not rigid. You can show compassion and still be clear. Now, let's examine why this matters in the workplace and in ministry. In the workplace, no matter where you lead, whether it's in an office, a nonprofit, healthcare, education, public service, or any team that serves people, people often come to you under pressure. They're dealing with deadlines, conflict, stress at home, big emotions, limited resources, and real life. But when leadership becomes inconsistent, things get messy fast. People get mixed messages. Team members feel unsupported. Standards get applied unevenly. The loudest voice wins. And morale starts to drop because nobody knows what to expect. That's not a healthy culture. That's confusion. Fair, firm, and consistent leadership creates stability for the team, clarity around expectations, and a sense of psychological safety, and accountability that supports people instead of overwhelming them. When people know the standard and trust their leader, they can focus on their work instead of worrying about changing rules or unpredictable reactions. In ministry, we love people dearly. We want to care well. We want to be available. We want to be compassionate. But when leaders avoid clarity because they don't want conflict, it can create confusion, burnout, and unhealthy dependency. Sometimes we think being Christ-like means never correcting anyone, but correction, when done with humility and honesty, can be an act of love. Faith without boundaries can turn into enabling, and enabling is not the same thing as compassion. So, let's look at the 4C framework for hard moments. This is a simple framework you can use with staff, students, volunteers, ministry teams, or anyone you lead. The 4C framework: 1. Calm. Regulate your tone and your timing. 2. Clarify. Name the expectation and the concern. 3. Connect. Acknowledge the person and the impact. 4. Consequence. Explain next steps and follow through. Let's break it down. 1. Calm. Before you can address an issue, ask, am I too emotionally charged to lead this well right now? If yes, pause. Leadership means managing your emotions, not ignoring them. Calm sounds like, let's talk about this when we can both focus. Or, I want to handle this with care, so I'm taking a moment. Clarify. Be specific. When leaders are vague, problems keep coming back. Clarify includes what happened. It's observable. What expectation was missed? What success looks like going forward? Clarify sounds like, this expectation is. What happened was. Going forward, I need. 3. Connect. This is where you lead with your heart. Connect is dignity, listening, and acknowledging impact on others. Connect sounds like, I'm bringing this up because I believe in your potential. Or, I know you have a lot going on and we still have a standard. Or, help me understand what got in the way. This is where fairness comes in. We listen, but we don't make excuses. 4. Consequence. This is where you need to be firm and consistent. A consequence isn't about punishment. It's about creating a path forward. Consequence sounds like, here's what will happen next if this continues. Or here's the timeline. Or here's what I need from you, and here's what I will do. Following through shows you care. Being inconsistent only creates confusion. So let's examine some scripts for real life leadership. Script 1: when someone is repeatedly late or missing deadlines. I want to talk about timeliness because it affects our students and our team. The expectation is that deadlines are met or you communicate early. What's been getting in the way? Going forward, I will need you to notify me 24 hours in advance if a deadline is at risk. If it continues, we'll need to adjust responsibilities. Script 2: when someone's tone is unprofessional. I need to address communication. In our work, tone matters. What I observed was our standard is respectful, solution focused communication, even when we disagree. How can we handle concerns differently next time? If it happens again, we'll have to escalate it formally. Script 3: when a student or a participant or a client is demanding exceptions. I hear you and I want to help. Here's what I can do within policy, and here's what I can't do. Let's focus on the options you do have. The next step is, if you want, we can create a plan today. Script 4: when a ministry volunteer or a team member is inconsistent. I appreciate what you bring, and I want you to be successful. The commitment is, lately, we've seen, are you able to continue in this role right now? If not, we can pause and revisit later, since we need consistency for the team and the people we serve. Script 5: when you have to say no without guilt. I can't take that on right now, but I can point you to the right next step. My current priorities require me to protect my capacity so I can lead well. Here's a leadership truth that aligns with faith. God is not the author of confusion. And while that verse is often used in a church context, the principle still applies. Good leadership creates clarity. Jesus led with compassion and clarity. He welcomed people. He corrected people. He withdrew when needed. He stayed aligned with his mission. You can be kind and still set clear expectations. You can show grace and still expect growth. So here's a recap. Fair is impartial standards and equitable pathways. Firm is boundaries and follow through. Consistent is predictable process and trust building leadership. Use the 4C framework: calm, clarify, connect, and consequence. So here's the challenge for the week. Pick one area you've been inconsistent in because you were trying to keep the peace. Then do this. Write the expectation in one sentence. Schedule the conversation. Use the 4C framework, especially the connect step, so you can keep your heart in the process. Thanks for tuning in to the Called, Chosen, Credentialed, and Conversations podcast. In the next episode, I'll talk about something that affects leaders in the workplace and ministry constantly: the weight of yes. how to say no without guilt. Because you can't lead everyone if let me say that again. Because you can't lead everyone if you lose yourself. Until next time, lead with wisdom, protect your peace, and stay true to your purpose. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe. Please share this podcast. Follow and turn on notifications.